Why would they lie about the shape of the Earth? There are multiple reasons why they would lie. For example, the space exploration industry gets funded by the government billions of dollars. NASA gets about $30 billion a year. Another reason is that they want to hide the clear proofs of God. The flat Earth equals creator. It's part of Satan's plan. A lot of people can't seem to grasp how a flat Earth proves a creator. On the flat Earth, the sun, moon, and stars are all local and all serve a direct purpose. Everything on the flat Earth model is based on intelligent design, and many of its workings can't be explained scientifically, which Allah actually highlights in the Quran as His signs. Also, the flat Earth model, the Earth is much younger and hasn't had billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of years for randomness to occur. Lastly, no random event could ever cause a flat Earth. This is why Allah highlights the flat Earth as a sign in the Quran. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then do they not look towards the Earth, how it was flattened? The word sutihat that is used in this verse means flattened. As you can see, I put it in Google Translate. You can check other translators as well, or other translations. If you actually look towards the globe Earth, it is not flat. The verse is literally telling us to look towards the Earth and how it is flattened. So, if you look towards the globe Earth, you can clearly see it is not flat. Therefore, this is contradicting the Quranic verse. And Allah is telling us that a sign that, that this existence is created is how the Earth is flat. This can't be a metaphorical verse talking about how we would perceive it standing on the Earth, because Allah is asking us to look towards the Earth. Therefore, this claim is debunked. I will be making a video in the future which will go over all of Allah's signs that He mentions in the Quran and show how Allah is being literal. When Allah describes a sign in the Quran, He is saying He is responsible for it. What Satan has done is create false theories to explain Allah's signs and attribute universal laws as the cause. An example of this is gravity, to explain the orbits of the sun and the moon. Gravity is an unproven theory. Allah highlights in the Quran that one of His signs is the orbits of the sun and the moon. He sets them on their course. There is no mention of gravity. True science would reflect on this and realize that there is no explanation for their orbits, and this would be a clear sign pointing to a creator. But Satan's goal is to deceive humanity. So him and his followers created this theory and have brainwashed the masses with fake proofs to convince them that the orbit of the sun and the moon is caused by gravity. In the globe universe model, Earth is a small, insignificant planet, one among trillions in the universe. The observable universe is 46 billion light years wide, and NASA says it could be even 250 times larger than that. Stars are constantly dying and being created, planets are constantly being formed and destroyed, and this has been happening for billions of years. All of this was created so that God can test and judge us humans here on Earth, just one of the planets capable of producing life. I'm going to show a clip now of how big the universe is, just so you can get some perspective. Even though I agree that there is plenty of proof of a creator in the universe model, it is a completely logical assumption to deny the idea of worshipping this creator and that we are being judged by him. God would not punish someone unless they denied very clear signs. The universe model, along with its universal laws, is a completely unfair model, and this is what the atheists hold on to. Atheists and even believers will say religion is faith-based, and it's only because of this model. Here, we can see a bunch of disbelievers on TikTok debating people, asking them to prove God's existence, while they flaunt Satan's deception in the background of their live streams, if only they knew. And it always ends with the believers admitting that their religion is faith-based, because they are trying to argue for God based on a false reality. Another reason they may lie is to potentially hide more land, as there could be more land beyond the known world. Lastly, the globe deception allows for future further deception. For example, an alien deception. Jinns could reveal themselves as aliens with superior technology to deceive humanity, showing themselves after thousands of years of hiding on Earth. If aliens come and Allah only challenged humans and jinns to try and produce the Quran, how do we know if the Quran is from the Creator or aliens with superior intelligence? On the globe universe model, which is infinity wide, and Earth is one of trillions of planets, there would be no way to tell if a jinn is an alien or another creation of God in the globe universe model. How do we know if Allah revealed the Quran or if an advanced alien species with supreme intelligence revealed the Quran to guide humanity to peace, love, and light? You would have no way of telling. However, on a flat Earth, it would only come down to them being another creation of God, who have always existed within the same world. It'd be very easy to ascertain these aliens as jinns, because they have always been here and are another part of creation. Allah's signs are always clear on the flat Earth. On the globe, everything is explainable by universal laws. Therefore, once a being intelligent enough enters the picture, we would have no way of knowing if the Quran is from God, the Creator, or an advanced alien species. And on top of that, the fact that these species can apparently travel through light years of space to get to Earth, I showed you earlier how large it is, would give you the indication that they are extremely intelligent. Whereas on a flat Earth, no such technology would ever exist. All they would have to say is, we are from planet Jubi Jubi, 10 million light years away, and we have come. And you have no way to question their authority, because on the globe model, aliens, there are many trillions of planets in the universe, and they could have come from any one of them. Also, because of the fact they have hidden themselves so well, you would then just assume that they are not natural to Earth, especially when they have this advanced UFO technology that no one has seen before. And as I told you earlier in the last video, the jinns have flight technology. There's verses for it. So on the flat Earth, jinns being a local creation, when Allah tells us that they will deceive a majority of humanity, when they show themselves with this advanced technology, push a narrative that is unquranic, tell us there is no God, and lie to us and take people further away from God, when we know His signs are clear on the flat Earth, we can assume it's a deception. Whereas in the globe model, how would you know if it's a deception if they could possibly have been the ones who have written the Quran? So you can say they are either jinn, other creations of God, but then Allah challenges all of creation to try and produce the Quran, but then you see an advanced alien species that has technology to travel through space and time, whereas on the flat Earth they would just maybe have some anti-gravity UFO technology. And you would always have that assurance that this system, the flat Earth, is intelligently designed by a creator. Whereas on the globe, everything is explainable by universal laws. And even how it came about is described as being random. So on the globe model, you would have random spawns of life appearing everywhere, and humanity is one, and now we have another life coming in contact with us, revealing themselves to us. Whereas on the flat Earth, you have a created system, and you have these humans, and you have these other guys that are now showing themselves. Both are still creations of God. There is still a creator. There is still a need for guidance. And both are aware of the Quranic message and have received guidance and messengers. With the alien narrative, they can say, we've never heard of this Quran. We've never received this Allah. We've never heard of these guys. It was another alien species who did it. right? They could reject ever having this idea, receive this notion in their world, and you would have no way to know. Whereas on a flat earth, of course they've received the message. I will now play a video by Eric Dubay which explains nicely and answers the question, why would they lie, from his perspective.
When confronted with blatant NASA lies and obvious globe inconsistencies, the number one most common, frequently asked question is undoubtedly, but why would anyone lie about the shape of the Earth? For what purpose would there be a multi-generational, worldwide conspiracy to cover up the truth of our home? Why would NASA spend billions of dollars building rockets just to prank the population about outer space? What on earth would be the point of hiding the flat Earth? To begin with, almost anyone being asked this question is not directly involved in creating or maintaining the lie, so insisting a definitive answer of motive from completely uninvolved parties is impossible. When someone tells a lie, their motives for doing so and their true inner purposes are known to them alone. People being lied to can attempt to deduce and guess at the reasons for a liar's actions, but ultimately, that information can only be revealed by the liars themselves. We flat earthers are not the malefactors in this situation, so we simply cannot adequately answer such a question without being inside the minds of the culprits. It should be obvious that asking uninvolved parties about the inner motives of other people is a fruitless and impossible endeavor. So why then is this universally the number one most common frequently asked question right after someone identifies a flat earther? The query is almost always accompanied by a smirk, a sneer, an eye roll, or outright laughter, and this gives away the underlying intention of asking. The majority of people asking this question have not actually done any research into the subject, and know full well that uninvolved parties cannot provide another's motive. Therefore, this knee-jerk phrase, "but why would they lie," so commonly repeated, is much more so a snarky defense mechanism than a genuine question. Incessantly asking why the world's governments would lie, without first doing your due diligence in researching the endless evidence and experiments proving that they most certainly are lying, is like coming upon a bloody homicidal crime scene with your eyes closed and refusing to believe it happened because you cannot fathom the perpetrator's motive, and until someone offers up a reason suitable to your subjective sensibilities, only then might you open your eyes and investigate the obvious murder. Flat earthers are like senior detectives on the crime scene, collecting evidence, taking photographs, and cataloging proofs, while ignorant globe defenders act like smug rookies, rocking up late and claiming we are looking in the wrong place. So flat earthers cannot be expected to give definitive, conclusive answers to this inappropriately directed question, but we can attempt to deduce and guess what the reason or reasons may be. As for the specific question of why would NASA and other government space agencies spend billions of dollars on this deception, it should be noted that these organizations are funded by money taken from the pockets of taxpayers in their respective countries. In other words, these government space agencies are annually freely receiving billions of dollars that their populations are forced to pay them. NASA alone received $24 billion of American taxpayer money in 2022, which amounts to over $65 million every single day. That makes NASA and other government space agencies among the biggest black-budget black holes in existence, sucking in trillions of dollars over the decades just to give us a bunch of rockets launched into the ocean and CGI cartoons on television. Maintaining the illusion is comparatively cheap, so rather than being some unrealistically expensive enterprise, it is actually an incredibly lucrative and profitable scam. Beyond simply being a productive moneymaker, however, the entire concept of outer space, along with the globe Earth and the so-called Big Bang, has created and promoted a nihilistic, materialist worldview where any idea of God or intelligent design is removed and replaced with random, haphazard coincidence. Instead of humans being purposefully created by a purposeful creator, instead of Earth being intelligently designed by an intelligent designer, we are told that life, nature, and everything else was all brought into existence for nothing and by accident. We are told that before time, space, matter, consciousness, intelligence, and life, that there was absolutely nothing. Then, in an instant, and for no reason at all, the nothingness exploded. And instead of destroying things like every other explosion, this explosion created things. It created everything. The nothingness explosion somehow created space, time, and all matter in the universe by ejaculating this creationary explosive primordial soup, and the debris shooting outwards at 670 million miles per hour for over 14 billion years finally culminated to create you. First, some of the more gaseous nothing came together forming suns and stars. Then solid pieces of the nothing came together forming planets and moons. Then the nothing turned hydrogen and oxygen came together forming water on the nothing planet Earth, out of which single-celled living organisms magically appeared, got to work dividing and multiplying into multi-celled conscious organisms, which multiplied and divided, mutated and morphed into various forms of sea life, which adapted and evolved and crawled onto land, replaced gills with lungs, lost tails, grew opposable thumbs, and started grasping at straws like this ridiculous nihilistic notion of Big Bang evolution. This anti-God, anti-spiritual, materialist theory of evolution is taught as gospel truth in schools worldwide, and has been staunchly protected by the infallibility of science for over 150 years. But in actual fact, just as science has failed to find one true, valid proof that Earth is a ball spinning around the sun, scientists have failed to discover a single piece of evidence that the material world is truly a product of blind chance evolution. Children are still taught, however, that we came from nothing, for no reason, and that one day in the future the sun will burn up, killing us all and destroying everything we built. This fatalistic, nihilistic, materialist creation and destruction story has fabricated a veritable atheistic religion that masquerades as scientific truth. By removing Earth from the stationary center of the universe, they have moved us physically and metaphysically from a place of supreme importance to one of complete indifference. If Earth is the center of all creation, then that denotes a special significance to our home, and to us, the most intelligent of the intelligent designer's designs. But if Earth is just one of billions of planets revolving around billions of stars in billions of galaxies, then the ideas of God, creation, and a specific purpose for human existence become highly implausible. This atheistic, nihilistic, materialist paradigm spiritually crushes the believer, while simultaneously bolstering and emboldening their egos, because if they have no higher purpose, everyone is just an accident, and everything will end when the sun burns up. The only thing that really matters in life is me, myself, and I. Through indoctrination into this anti-spiritual religion, believers lose faith in anything beyond the material world, and become material boys and girls, malleable, selfish, hedonistic consumers. This then becomes fertile ground for further deceptions, as people uprooted from their true beginnings and given false bearings can be led anywhere. Two places we are clearly not being led by this globe deception, however, are Antarctica and the North Pole. These two locations hold inherent significance in the flat Earth model of the cosmos, because Antarctica is the elevated outer rim encompassing and extending around all the other continents, while the North Pole is the center point of the world, where all compasses point, and directly below Polaris, the only stationary star in the sky. But by turning our Earth plane into a planet tilted on its axis, this has effectively nullified any inherent special significance to Antarctica or the North Pole. On a globe, all locations hold equal importance, so the North Pole is no longer central, and Antarctica is just a small ice continent at the bottom of the ball. Interestingly enough, ancient world maps from before the globe deception took hold actually featured extra lands in both areas. The North Pole was home to a magnetic lodestone mountain called Mount Meru, surrounded by an encircling whirlpool, 4 distinct island continents, and separated by 4 rivers. Since the globe deception took hold, however, these locations have completely disappeared from all modern maps. Likewise, in ancient maps, Antarctica was shown as having far more landmass than now, and many maps even featured additional continents beyond the Antarctic. Admiral Byrd claimed on live television that there were vast resources in untouched lands beyond Antarctica that had never been explored, and books like Worlds Beyond the Poles or The Iron Republic speak of entire civilizations existing south of the South Pole. By turning Earth into a ball, these potential extra lands, resources, and civilizations have been conceptually erased from the minds of the masses, as there is literally nowhere left for them to exist. The effect is similar to when intrepid young Truman from The Truman Show movie is told by his teacher that he is too late and everywhere has already been explored. In an instant, with that piece of false information, his adventurous spirit is crushed, and he is convinced that there is nowhere new to discover. In summation, this globe lie is essentially the biggest and most fundamental deception imaginable, uprooting people from the stable, level earth beneath their feet, shaping it into a ball, and throwing it around the sun. Humanity is left spinning out of control in a vast, blind, dumb universe that created everything for no reason by accident, and will eventually be blown away by a meteor strike or supernova. All of creation is explained by material processes, and anything remotely spiritual is just a quaint relic of a pre-scientific age. Everywhere on Earth has already been explored, and our only hope is pouring billions more dollars per year into NASA and other space agencies to take us to their other ball planets, like CGI Mars. Essentially, they have created a new world religion of scientism, complete with a creation and destruction story, prophets and prophecies, and removed any purpose or higher power, replacing it with a random, nonsensical explosion. So-called scientists became the new priests of the New World religion, and the now malleable masses walk in lockstep towards whatever future they manufacture for us.
I also have a lot of people ask, why does it matter? So I'm going to play a video by Globebusters which explains it perfectly.
One other question that she asked, and a lot of people ask this question, and I think it's a good question, so we're going to also address it really quick. So she goes, I'm on board with many things. There are still questions I have, but I can definitely see why there are so many flat earthers. The question her husband gave her, however, is, if it's true, does it change how I live my life? For me, I have to say no. It would be nice if it's true for the government to acknowledge and stop charades. However, I find it really hard, especially knowing someone that works for NASA and his job is to get new packages ready, yada, yada, yada. So again, what difference does it make? Like I said, that's a great question. This is something that is not an easy answer because of the magnitude of what we're talking about here. How it will change your life, first of all, when you understand it, is dramatic, to say the least. Will it change you from having to go to your job every day and the things that you typically do every day? No. But when this knowledge becomes more mainstream and these agencies are starting to be held accountable, and you understand that they're all participating in this, not just the United States government, not just NASA, but China, Russia, India, all of them have space programs. They all have the same symbolism. They're all doing the exact same thing to their citizenry. And the first thing you have to understand about this is that the deception goes all the way to the top. And when I say all the way to the top, you have to kind of get rid of the notion that the people at the very highest levels are working together. The people that control the world are not, we're not against each other. There was never any such thing really as the Cold War. We're really not enemies with anybody else. This is all a facade that's being brought on for our benefit. But the people that are in power, that have all the money, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the on and on and on, These are the people that literally run the central banking system, which of course has permeated the entire world. And any country that tries to get away from it, their leaders are quickly assassinated. It goes on and on and on. So you have to understand conspiracies a little bit to understand the magnitude of this deception. So why would they do this? Why are they trying to hide the fact that we are on an infinite plane or on a flat earth rather than a ball? Well, the answer to that, there's a lot of answers to that, but in my personal opinion, if you isolate people into the idea that they're on a blue marble that's in the middle of a universe that is really insignificant, and there's thousands or millions and billions of other worlds and possibly other civilizations, that makes most people think that we are insignificant and that we did actually come about as some sort of an accident. Now, when people believe that, their minds are much more malleable into being given the idea that there is no God, there is no creator, that all of this is just some sort of random happenstance. And because of that, that also gives the controllers this fertile soil to build other deceptions on. And it's all about control. Remember, it's not about money. Money is irrelevant. They print the money. Money is just something that you and I agree has value, but it really is just pieces of paper, right? These people are printing the money. They can print money all day long if they want to, and they do. So it's not about that. And it's not just about power either. It's about total control, mental, physical, spiritual, every way, shape, and form possible. And to wrap your head around this type of deception, whether you're religious or not, if you're religious, then you understand that this is Satan's plan all along. If you're not religious, then you need to understand that people are power hungry and they will do anything to gain and maintain this type of control. So I've kind of ranted on this a lot. So John and Jaron, if you would add into this for my relative and kind of elaborate on what I've said.
I would just add that a lot of people don't realize it, but really the fundamental cornerstone of nihilism, and really nihilism is sort of the most profound version of atheism. Really, atheism is probably the most popular quote-unquote religion, at least in America and probably worldwide. There's more atheists at heart because of one simple fact, and that is this whole Copernican principle, or this Big Bang Theory universe where the entire planet and even the galaxy are like a mere speck of dust and completely insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So from that perspective, if the Earth itself is just nothing special in the grand scheme of things, then how could anything that we do in our lives be of remote consequence whatsoever? And so this whole mindset, again, is sort of the founding cornerstone of atheism and ultimately nihilism. However, when people realize that the Big Bang is a load of theoretical bollocks, then it really changes this entire foundation of the world's perspective of this ultimately nihilist viewpoint. And so even if you don't consider yourself religious, that's probably because you've been affected by this culture that is ultimately nihilist.
Yep, well said. And I think so obvious when you look at, and Bob, you put it perfectly, that just what the money system has done to this country and to the world, really. In the book, Why a Bankrupt America, it said that the Federal Reserve pays the Bureau of Engraving and Printing approximately $23 for each 1,000 notes printed. So 10,000 $100 notes, which is $1 million, cost the Federal Reserve $230. So they then secure a pledge of collateral equal to the face value of the US government. And that collateral is our land, labor, assets, and then it's collected by their agents, who are the IRS, not our agents. And by authorizing the Fed to regulate and create money, and thus inflation, basically Congress gave private banks power to create profits at will. That's what they do. It's all about making profits for themselves. And you have to remember how big of a conspiracy this is. This isn't talking about just the JFK thing, or isn't talking about just 9/11. It's on an umbrella kind of system to where it is the biggest deception that there is. It actually exposes every other deception, and nothing else brings down the power of the elite, because it really exposes education, science, the economy, television, museums, universities. Think of all the things that have been fooled. I feel worse for the people that are out there building satellites, the people that are out there actually working for these space agencies, the people out there teaching in schools as professors, because they would all come to the conclusion eventually, once this gets out, that they've all been contributing to the lie. And that's got to be the worst feeling that there is. And that's why you have a hard time with a Neil deGrasse or a Bill Nye, these guys ever even considering that the earth might not be what they were taught, because they understand if it's not, then their entire lives have been about promoting the lie. They are tool pieces for the elite, for the lie system, and it really destroys everything. And I'm a perfect example, John, of what you were talking about. When I realized religion had some things in it that didn't quite fit with my reality and I was done with it, I realized it was many lies there. I popped out of that, and the one place that's there with open arms calling for you, saying, we tell nothing but the truth, we're all about facts and evidence, is science. And I went there with my arms open, ready to embrace them, and said, oh, thank you. I'm so glad you're here, because over there I was just getting lied to left and right. And now I know science is the place to go. Now, thank goodness I'm into research and things that I wanted to know everything about it. I wasn't comfortable in just saying, well, now I realize religion's a lie. I'm just going to be scientific and promote science and just say the word science when anybody talks to me. It would have been really easy. I could have paraded myself around and been really Mr. Smart Guy and been able to debate Christians, and would have been really easy for me. But instead, I decided to look into it. I wanted to know, why is evolution real? Where is the evidence? Why are these things facts? How do they know the age of the earth? And the more and more I looked into it, and the more I asked these so-called science backers, the more I realized it was another religion. And that's ultimately, and I'll admit it, an atheist for probably 6 months. And thank goodness I looked into that science. But I notice out there all these other guys who are just making these debunk videos or calling us crazy. The difference between me and them is that they don't want to research it, or they don't know how to research past the deception layer. I mean, you have to understand, this is the biggest deception ever. It can never be let out. So if you're looking for, well, why does Jaron say this? And you go look up Google or something like that, and you just search it one time and don't try and look at any other sources besides the mainstream sources, then you shouldn't be surprised that you're going to get the exact answer you're looking for. That's only going to confirm what the elitists, or what these people who are fooling us from the top down, what they want you to find. And then they go and make videos claiming these are evidence that we're wrong. And they say, well, these guys didn't even research it. If they would have looked it up one time, they would have found it. That's crazy talk. If you think we don't know the mainstream reasoning behind it, that we don't need to bring that up to people, because anybody like you can go look it up and find that exact answer. That's not doing research. And this is a deception on the highest level that you need to go and dig deeper and look at different bits and pieces and put it together and come up with your own explanation. Because if you're just going to take what mainstream tells you and believe it, then go watch Fox News and enjoy what the mainstream wants you to enjoy. That's the way that they operate. So I just think when it comes down to people asking, how does it affect my life? No, I guess it depends on you. If you don't care that you've been lied to about everything from school, from kindergarten on, everything that you were taught in school was meant to get your mind into a certain frame of reference, to make you think about the world a certain way, to make you think about your parents, and to make you think about your friends, and to make you think about your government, all in a prescribed way to make the rich get richer and make you into a wage slave. If you don't care that that happened, if you're happy going to your 9-to-5 job and you're comfortable in your belief about who your creator is, then it doesn't affect your life. For a lot of us, that is a pretty big deal. For me, it looks like 35 years of my life was completely wasted on a false existence that someone else decided to sell me. You know, I'm going to spend the rest of my life exposing it, because I don't think it's right. It's not the way you treat other people. It's not the way you treat other beings. We all have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And somebody just said that. They told us that, but then behind the scenes, they made sure that they kept us unhappy and that we weren't free, and that they were the ones who got to enjoy the good life while we worked for them.
Yes, well said. So ultimately, to get back to the question, how will it change your daily life? Well, until it's actually exposed, not a whole lot, because we're still slaves to this very same system. We still have to go to our jobs, we still have to pay the bills, yada, yada, yada. However, think about when this idea catches on and the awareness of the level of deception that we are kept under. And I think a lot of people are waking up to it. You know, 9/11, you know, being the fraud that it is, Sandy Hook being a fraud, on and on and on. But at some point, we're hoping that this is going to hit critical mass. And when it does, then all of a sudden, these institutions that are taking billions and trillions of dollars from us to simply enslave us, to keep us going to work every day and never having enough money or time, and other countries that are starving, have no medical attention. And in fact, there's active campaigns to kill these people off, and this is a well-known agenda. But all this aside, when this all goes away, then we're talking about an entirely different world. Then we're talking about the kind of world that would be, I dare say, more utopian. And that isn't always necessarily a good thing either, but let's just say that it would be a whole lot better than what we have now. If people understood that we are special, that there is a creator, and that really, when people come to this realization, we will start becoming more aware of the value of other humans and human life. And we don't look at people as, well, just because they're different from us, then they're wrong and they're funny and they're weird. We see each other as brothers, and we see each other as related in family, and we start respecting each other on a level that is due to everyone. And when that happens and we get rid of the governments that are enslaving us and the people above the governments that are controlling them, then all of a sudden we start looking at a society where we can start improving upon ourselves. We can start making our own technologies that will benefit humanity instead of the elite usurping all these technologies and using it for themselves against us. Like we can have unlimited free power and there's just so many things. I mean, you could go on and on and on and on about this, and many people have researched this. But at that point, everything changes. Absolutely everything changes, because we no longer are living in a slave world. We're living in a truly free world where everybody is sovereign and everybody has much more respect for other selves, other people. So that's pretty much the answer to that question. So it is a big thing. It really is. You can't just brush it off as saying, what difference does it make? It's not going to change anything. Au contraire, not only will it change things, it will change things in it'll bring us to an entirely new paradigm, an entirely new way of life. And I'm sure that many people would much rather live in something that would be considered more utopian than what we're at right now, which is an enslaved system.
Yeah, everything's indeed a commodity, and we call ourselves a system that's governed by essentially capitalism, although I guess you could call it more aptly corporate fascism, but we'll call it capitalism. Even that is a system run by greed, and I think that that's pretty much an ass-backwards way to run a society. And really, this whole idea of capitalism and greed as the driving force behind our society really does stem from this atheistic viewpoint that's been going on for the last at least 100 years in full steam ahead.
Yep, absolutely.
So this is the end of the video. Thanks everyone for watching. My next episode will be episode 3. Quran is a flat earth book. I'm going to show all the verses in the Quran which talks about the creation of the heavens and the earth and the heavens. And I'll prove undoubtedly that the Quran is a flat earth book. Inshallah. And then all the episodes after that will be going over the scientific proofs. Inshallah.